everybody, welcome back. Bruce Porter joins us now for this week's Dollars and Cents. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
All
welcome,
right.
Welcome home.
Well, it's good to be back. A couple of weeks off.
Yeah.
The first thing I asked him, I said, what was your day like the day after the whole EU announcement?
Yep.
We're seeing on international news we have in the studio that there's been another terror attack. This
Yep.
time in Istanbul, things are a little bit uneasy, to say the least. So some people handle their money differently than others, and some people really aren't too concerned. Other people are in an out-and-out panic.
Well,
how do you sum all this up in 5 minutes?
Well, it's what we've been discussing literally for the past 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an appetite for volatility, if you recognize opportunities, a lot of people think the current conditions are creating some fire sales on stocks and investments, and there's a lot of truth to that. But if you're 70, 65, retired, let's just say if you're retired and now you're unemployed, like we've discussed, and I want my money to work for me. So now, if that's your scenario, you probably shouldn't be exposed to this type of an environment. It's a cycle of change in the world that we're going through, not unlike we've seen in the past. I've done this for several years now, and when you see this changing environment, and you see, call it a downturn, call it a correction, it doesn't matter. It's what happens when there's variable type investments. They have good days, they go up. They have bad days, they go down.
And it's how you react to all of this.
It's exactly right. And unfortunately, a lot of people think that they're going to make 20% every year. And, I've got a good guy watching my money, but that good guy has nothing to do with what went on in the UK,
right,
or what goes on in Istanbul or anywhere else. So those unknown world events that pop up, that now that we're in this global economy, they affect everything that we do. So, we use an example today. So we got like 3 years of gains, 10, 10, 10, all right? So we're thinking, boy, that's a great investment. I've made $33,000 on 100 in a 3-year period, and everything's great. But then we wake up, and next year, not so good, 20% down. The next year, not so good, but a little better, -8. So we gained 30% over 3 years, and then it took 2 years, it wiped it out. So now we're in the negative, and it's going to take another 5 years to come back to where we were. So when you look at that cycle of behavior in the market, if you're 70 years old at the top, now you're 80 at the bottom, and you got the same amount of money. So, we want to make sure that we understand risk. And if you're in a storm and you're not willing to go back to work, or you don't have a desire to go back and rebuild your retirement, then you probably ought to come in out of the rain and seek some shelter.
Rethink what you're doing with
Safety,
your money. What are some of
security,
those
protection.
options for that?
Well, there's lots of things you can do. In the variable world, they trend towards cash, bonds, instruments that are those types of equivalents. In the insurance world, a lot of people flock to the annuity business. Now, annuities, there's as many annuities available as there are stocks and bonds. And an annuity is not right for everybody, nor is a stock, bond, or a CD. All right. So when you go to shop for your safe haven, if you're saying, honey, we're not going through this again, we're going to secure our money, we're going to tighten down, and we're going to be conservative. Well, you need to shop around. You need to go spend some time talking to an expert, like we always recommend, and get some ideas on what are some alternatives that we can have. There are some alternatives. The one thing you have to watch, even on the conservative side of the brokerage world, you have to watch those internal fees, charges, management fees, things like that can eat up a fixed type portfolio. And it doesn't matter if it's a municipal bond or a fixed type environment. If the fees eat up the growth, it's not doing you any good.
Right, and don't be afraid to ask about that up front.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You got to ask about that. You got to be careful about what you do. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It's your money. You don't have to do anything today. You can just sit back and say, let me think about that. And then go talk about it If you're not comfortable, don't do it. Follow your gut feeling. And if your gut says that doesn't make sense, then hesitate. And if you do that, it'll probably pay off in the long run.
But bottom line, even with all of this going on in the world, I think you would probably suggest people not ever panic and don't give up hope in the system that we do have, because traditionally,
That's right.
you have your ebbs and flows.
That's right. I mean, look at 94. Look at 89. Look at 94. Look at 01 and 2. Go back to 07, 08, 09, 2011, and now 15 and 16. Lots of volatility. But what happened during the in-between times? The markets recovered. People made money. The birds were singing. Life was good. The sun was out.
Come up tomorrow. Exactly.
Just be careful as you get older. Trend towards a more conservative environment. You should never jump any direction.
Yeah.
You should trend that way as you're getting older, and that's my opinion.